Hey Southwest region, we are here for QRT with Rodney Smith out of the Monroe, Louisiana office. Rodney actually just completed a push over 10K, which is basically his fourth 10K push, highest push ever was 17,000. What are your career sales now?
It's like 135.
135 grand, pretty awesome. And I know that you work Cutco around your other passion in life, which is what?
Art and photography.
Art and photography. So tell us, we'll open up with, so what's one of your favorite things about being an FSM for Cutco?
Just generally speaking, to know that, especially when a push comes around, that I can focus and really crank out some numbers, and knowing that make it half, I can know what I'm making and walking away saying I'm going to invest this much back into my business, I'm going to put this much in savings, and then I'm going to buy these things for this end goal. So.
And then it gives you the flexibility to also do the photography and stuff.
Exactly.
And the travel.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, you said push, but if I remember right, so as a fast starter, you sold like 7,500,
yeah,
and then
so.
you had another week that was 9K. Was that during a push or just a week?
It was. I was on vacation the first week of the push, and then I just did some phone time during the vacation in one day. Booked up 10 demos, and when I got back, I just walked into 10 grand. Just had a couple orders come through. It was exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty good average, right?
Yeah.
10 demos, almost 10 grand. It's pretty exciting.
It was pretty solid.
So let's start with, why don't you tell us how you think it is that you have 10K pushes? Like, what do you do to create a 10K push, or any good push, or any good week? It doesn't even have to be during a push week.
Oh, well, I absolutely love pushes just because it's easy with this job to let yourself go and to say, oh, I don't have to do something. But when you have a set goal, whether it's a push or a personal thing or a contest you set up with your manager, or something you set up with your girlfriend, like, hey, I'm going to do this, and then we're going to go do this fun thing together, okay? To have that incentive, it really gives you that focus so that, all right, this is the end goal, let's back up, let's figure out how many demos that needs, how many phone calls it's going to take, when am I going to do it, and then commit to doing the phone calls. And for me, a push all comes back to really just a focus, and commit not necessarily to the sales number, but can I be proud of my activity at the end of this push? That's what I always focus on. Can I be proud of what I did with my time during this push period? Or am I going to say, oh man, I didn't hit that goal. I would have hit it if I would have actually done what I knew I needed to do. Right,
like the phone time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I heard two things. So it sounds like sometimes you'll attach a goal or attach an award to your goal, which is cool. Sort of reward yourself. And the other thing was, so take your goal, break it down to the smallest thing, whether it's phone calls you make and how many phone times you do and all that stuff, and then focus on the activity. So what are the main activities of a push? There's phone calls. Yeah. Anything else you focus on, or is that enough?
I mean, obviously you got to figure out your craft. And one thing that I try to get focused on is actually getting excited about the product. Because obviously sales is just a transfer of enthusiasm. If you can be super excited, do lots of calls equaling lots of demos, that equals lots of sales. So just to wrap my mind around the idea of, hey, this is a product that helps people, and when I do my job well, first off, sales commission, that's cool, recognition at the conference, but it actually in the end is helping the customer have something they're going to use for the rest of their life. So it's that personal pride. When I build that enthusiasm, as I really get jazzed about my goal, and then ends up, it has in the past worked out. God's really blessed that. So, and it's putting the customer first in my mind.
Well, you seem like a pretty mellow guy. So what do you do? Like, how do you share enthusiasm? Do you think? Is it just a language that you use, or do you? I mean, maybe you don't even know the answer to that. I don't know.
No, it really is. I mean, I use the product all the time. So I use a lot of examples like, oh, my mom, she originally got this homemaker set, and she said she didn't know how she was going to use the chef knife. But afterwards, that's because she was only using 2 knives, the first 18 years of my life. But when I showed her how to use it, she's just like, I don't know how I ever did without this knife. So sharing those, a lot of my enthusiasm comes through stories like, oh, my fiance, her grandmother had a knife. When I told her I sold it, she was like, oh my gosh, awesome. I've had this for 44 years, And so
stories are great, which is a good key. Do more demos, because the more people you see, you get those stories that you can share later.
I get all of my stories from my customers. So I get
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So, what else do you think besides focus on the activity? Anything else that you feel really strong at as far as, like, would you say you have a great phone ratio, great leads average, great average order, great sales ratio?
No. Sales ratio is pretty great. Average order is all right. It's like 450, closer to 500 now after this push, I'm pretty sure. But the bottom line is just doing a lot of it. Consistently doing the basics well. I really don't feel like I'm that great at any one particular area, except just disciplining my mind to actually get on the phone. I feel like that separates the okay from the people who are doing well in this business, is actually making themselves do the things they say they're going to do.
And how do you do that? How do you do that? You said discipline your mind. Any
Yeah.
tips if somebody's like, they're always procrastinating, so they just really don't want to get on the phone?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Amy, and a lot of respect for Josh, your husband. And one thing that he always talked about was envisioning what you want. And I think, as psycho as this sounds, that makes a huge difference in what you actually do. If you can sit there and take time, I do it in the morning. I get up, read my Bible, and take focused time to pray. Really, invite God to give me guidance in my life. And I feel like God really blesses that. But part of what I do during that period is I envision, what the end goal is. Selling 10 grand or 15 grand or whatever it is. Last year, my goal was to do 10 grand. I envisioned that a lot. And my main fear is that I wouldn't do the activity. That I would, get to the end and say, I did not do what I knew I needed to do. So I actually built a lot of fear in myself of not doing it. And I told everyone that I knew, like, this is super serious, like, I've got to do this. And so I feel like that was the stuff that really motivated me to discipline my mind and get to the things. So the vision, sharing your goals, and then the fear of not doing it.
Okay.
Just against your own self. I'm big on my word. When I say I'm going to do something, I want to be the kind of character that says, if Rodney says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. So that's what.
Me too. That's a good person to be.
Yeah.
I think so. It's important. All right. So, what do you think's been the most helpful to you as a developing rep to get to be successful? What have you found most helpful in your business?
Yeah. Well, for me, a lot of it's been just taking a little thing at a time. When I first started, I did my fast start. I was working 2 hours from the office. A couple things. I talked to my manager a lot, but he would always ask me, where are you following the script? And it would always direct me back towards the basics. So when I think about what I did well, I implemented the basic system. A lot of people, they get to the end of their fast start or whatever, and they say, hey, I would have done better, or I don't know what could have gone bad. The bottom line is they could have done a lot better if they would have followed a proven system. And so I find that even now, 3 years into doing, this is my 4th summer, I still sometimes feel like I'm trying to reinvent the wheel when, man, if I could still just use the basic manual, I would probably have a better order. So John Maxwell's a guy I always listen to and hear his lectures and stuff. And one thing he said was, over-prepare and go with the flow. And I think, man, that's such great advice. To over-prepare, study the manual, to know the prices inside and out, to actually be proud of when you walk in that there's nothing they're going to give you that's going to stump you so bad that you're going to be embarrassed about how your professionalism is. But then when they throw you something, to be able to go with the flow. If they're in the middle of the demo and they're like, look, I don't want any of these sets because I already have this set, just finish the demo. I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. Let's just go ahead and do the wish list. This is a service we offer you guys. This is your wish list. Miss Jane's special wish list. We keep this on file. You don't have to get everything on here. Let's go ahead and just go through the rest of the book. And of course, we're thinking Christmas, birthday, anniversary. You already got your set. That's totally fine. I'm not making you get anything. Let's just have fun with this. And, that makes my job a lot better too. And we get to the end of the wish list, and a lot of times that settles their mind on what they're doing. That I'm not going to try to force anything on them. But then it opens them back up to the idea of, maybe I can still get something here, even though this kid's not going to force me to get anything. He actually understands kind of what I'm coming from. So
cool.
That's been that.
So last question I have for you, since we're running out of time, is: have you gone to many conferences? Do you find them helpful? What would your advice be if someone was asking you if they should go to a conference?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've been to a lot of conferences.
Me too.
Yeah, Amy's been there at all of them. But no, it's been really cool because, like I was saying earlier, just taking one little thing and implement it. I come away from a conference. There's a jillion things, obviously, great talks. Like Jacob Hickman, he just started. He's a newbie. I look up to him 4 years later. And I'm still excited about taking something that a new person coming into the business, that new enthusiasm, I can take that enthusiasm. I think that's the main thing I get away from conferences. There's always, repeat this phone time, this and that. But it's enthusiasm, I think, that helps me the most. I can come here, sound pretty mellow. Actually, just taking that enthusiasm, incorporating it into my demo, and I think that makes a lot of difference.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Again, it was Rodney Smith, and we'll see you guys at the next QRT, I guess. Go to your conferences.